Welcome back to the $2 Film Club. Today we are talking about a very important movie to the history of cinema. We're talking about 2015's Minions. And you might be wondering why we decided to talk about this, because I don't think a lot of people know, but there's a new Minions movie coming out for some reason. It's called Minions and Monsters, starring George Lucas and some other people. This is the only one that I've seen. I've seen the first two Despicable Me movies. I never watched any of the other ones, and this is the only one that I saw in theaters, unfortunately. So yeah, we're talking about. This is probably going to be our shortest episode. I hope it's our shortest episode because I don't really know what else to say about this movie.
I hope so too, because I guess I want to preface this before we continue. I understand the audience this movie was made for.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think this is a film that's a perfect example of treating kids like idiots when it comes to filmmaking.
It is.
And I hate that type of filmmaking, and it's still done today, especially in animation, because kids aren't stupid. They I guess I can bring up the Cat in the Hat conversation that we had last night because I decided to watch that for some reason. But it's I'm not trying to say Cat in the Hat's a great film, but I think it has some sub-levels that adults can enjoy.
It's more fun to watch, that's for sure.
But it's one of those things where you can watch it as a kid and it's got that dumb humor, but then you can go back to it as an adult and still find humor in all the really absurd Cat in the Hat being horny jokes that makes it that much more entertaining. But I think what damages this film for me is because they already made that type of film with the first Despicable Me movie. I'll sit here and say I think the first Despicable Me movie is actually really good.
I think a lot of people really would agree with you on that.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, they made a whole fucking franchise out of it, but it's got really good animation, really good voice acting, which I think this film also lacks. It's good voice acting, but there's nothing
no character
to it. Yeah, there's really nothing to it. And it's got the same animation, but I think the heart and soul of Despicable Me is Gru finding that family. And I think the really interesting dynamic is him adopting the Minions, but then also adopting these three young little girls, and how his view on parenthood without him having that really comes to fruition in that movie.
Yeah.
But this Minions has none of that, and I think that's the biggest problem for me.
I agree with you for the most part. The only thing is that this movie does have it. It's just in the end credits.
That doesn't count, bro.
No, it does count. The end credits are the only part of the movie where I was like, damn, this is actually kind of good. I wish the movie was about this.
Bro saw Baby Gru at the end and was like, you know what? I think this is all what makes it up.
It's not even that. It's just the wacky shenanigans that there's kind of there's more narrative progression in the end credit vignettes than there are in the entire movie, and that's the thing that I was kind of okay, that's what I wanted to see. But you're right, this is a kids movie. It is very obviously intended for kids, which does make it a little harder to watch when you're an adult. But I think it's fine as a kids movie. I think if you took a kid to go see this in theaters, or rent it for them or whatever, they would probably have a decent enough time. But it is a movie that kind of, and this is something that I was texting to you last night as well. The opening narration by fucking Captain Barbossa is so unnecessary, because it really just hammers down the point of them hand-holding the audience, because he's explaining everything that's happening, and I kind of wanted to just be able to sit and see them throughout history, because that's funny. It's funny watching them throughout history fuck up, but then you have this constant voice in the back of your head being and then Bob Stewart and whatever, and I'm just okay, maybe don't tell me what's going on, because I kind of just want to watch it. Okay.
Shut the fuck up, please.
Yeah, and it's stuff like that, and then there's no structure to the movie either, So as an adult, you're kind of just like, these things are just happening, and I don't understand why, except for they thought it was funny.
Well, so this came out in 2015,
Yes.
and Universal Orlando theme park made the first Minions ride in 2012, I'm pretty sure. And so this just feels like a bunch of concepts that they originally had for that like original ride, which by the way is not very good. Just all meshed into one movie that really doesn't make a lot of sense because they try to connect it with them wanting to become these like apprentices to a master villain, and all that kind of gets washed under the water after the first 20 minutes of this movie because right away you know these minions are just good guys that
Oh,
accidentally do villainous things, and a lot of it just like kind of counteracts each other and frustrates me because you have to make them likable enough for the kids, but you don't want to make it like, oh, they're evil. Like that's the thing with Gru because he's really not evil, but he tries to put on this persona of wanting to be evil to be accepted in this community. And everyone in this movie is the exact opposite of that. And I feel like they have a hard time trying to juggle where the minions fit into that because they
yeah.
fit more into the mold of who Gru was as a character.
Well, I see, and I think that's the reason why I enjoyed more of the end credit stuff because it is them kind of just not doing anything inherently evil, and it's obviously it's a lot easier because he's a kid, but they're just kind of doing a bunch of like, how do I want to put this? They're getting into trouble. That's what I'm trying to say. Like they're painting his mom, or they're painting over his mom's picture and making her look dumb, and they're doing the stupid shit like that. And it's like it's not inherently evil. Like it's not evil, but clearly it's kind of like wrong, if that makes sense. Like if you were a parent, you would be like, okay, you're grounded,
Yeah.
go sit in the corner or something like that. And I think that's the thing where the movie kind of struggles with, because I like seeing them do like wacky shenanigans, and that's kind of the appeal of them. But it does get hampered by the fact that you understand that canonically they are supposed to want to serve the most evil
Evil.
person, but they don't do a good job of breaking down the difference between being a villain and being evil, because like you said, Gru is not evil, but he is still a villain. Like he commits crimes, but he's not doing it to be like cruel or to like hurt anyone. It's just, he wants to steal the moon and shit like that.
I,
Anyways,
I think like a good point to like piggyback off of what you said is the thing that kind of bothered me the most with like this whole sentiment between evil and being a villain is like with Scarlet Overkill, right? It's
she is
Overkill.
evil. Yeah,
She's evil, but
they're
also
all
a
evil.
villain. They're
Everyone
all evil
else
in this
is evil.
movie. But the thing is when the minions go and have that whole chase scene in the middle of London with the queen or whatever it is trying to steal her crown or whatever the object was
Yeah.
that really doesn't matter, is they were doing that for Scarlet Overkill, but they wind up just saving her and they get exactly the role that Scarlet wants, but because they serve her, they give her the role of taking over England. And then she just says, you know what, fuck you guys, I'm throwing you right into the dungeon to make me some weapons. And then it just kind of falls flat on its face because like, oh, she's evil, but they're not. It just feels like they just get abused throughout the entire movie. And like, I don't like watching that. It's weird.
I think that could be a strong dramatic choice. Again, I get it's a kids movie, but I think the first one, or Despicable Me, made some pretty strong dramatic choices. But anyways, yeah, I feel like it would be a strong dramatic choice for in this movie to have the minions, be betrayed by one of their bosses. But it doesn't earn any of that. Like you kind of know from the get go that she's disingenuous and that this isn't going to go over very well. And so that when it happens, you kind of left feeling like, okay, it doesn't. It feels like it's trying to be a moment where oh, gotcha, she's betraying the minions, but then you're kind of just like, I kind of already knew that was going to happen, and it kind of comes out of nowhere. So it's not a good narrative choice. because we don't spend any time with her really for $10 million.
Dude, I think that's like the other thing I have against this movie is where it comes to like how you budget these things. It's like the movie cost $75 million. Sandra Bullock got $10 million alone. How much between John Hamm, Michael Keaton, Allison Janney, Steve Coogan, Jeffrey Rush, Hiroyuki Sanada, and Steve Carell got? That's a lot of big names even for 2015 that they still had to pay. Where, okay, why not just hire lesser people? Not lesser people, but people that won't people that won't cost as much as these big A-star actors. When for me, a lot of them, like, the voice acting isn't bad, but me and you were going back and forth and saying like I didn't really notice this was Sandra Bullock. I didn't notice this was John Hamm, Michael Keaton, or Steve Coogan. And some of these people really play a little to no role, and they're just there for like a what? Like they might as well have been a fucking minion at that point.
This probably sounds weird that we're kind of making fun of this for it. Because, you know, in a normal, I know even when we were talking about like, the Mario Brothers movie, like we kind of made fun of how, like, you know, some of them aren't like putting on a voice. And so it's kind of like, why didn't you just hire, you know, someone who could do the voice? And in this one, we're kind of saying the opposite. It's just that for how much money, and to be fair, it wasn't that much money. Like, it's not a $200 million budget film. I'm curious what the new one cost. Let's look that up real quick.
I'm scared to know, bro.
So, okay, it only cost $10 million more than this one.
See,
But yeah,
that's
the
crazy.
The thing is that, like, obviously they're putting the name actors in so that, you know, people who know who they are will be like, oh, that's you know, that's so and so or whatever. But then they're in the movie so little, and you can't tell who it is, that it kind of just like, okay, why did you put them in there?
Yeah.
And again, I think they're doing a good job. It's just they're not in it very much, and there's not much to their characters, that it kind of becomes almost like a wasted opportunity. And I'm sure, you know, Sandra Bullock, who made $10 million, you know, fine with it. And she was the one that I knew who it was, and like that she was in it, and I could tell in her voice. And John Hamm, I figured who he was, but I couldn't really tell. Same with Michael Keaton. I was just like, I think that's who that is, but their voice doesn't, like, they're clearly playing the character, which is a good thing. But, you know,
this is my first time like ever really looking into this movie, and I had no clue any of them were in it until like the credits pulled up in the beginning. I'm like, okay, this is a pretty good cast. Like,
I didn't remember John Hamm and Michael Keaton were in it, but I remember Sandra Bullock being in it.
It just feels like a lot of wasted talent and a lot of wasted money towards that talent. And I think that's like where
money that could have been spent on making the movie better.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about like animation, but like definitely a few more rewrites, guys. Like,
the animation's fine. It's a little too smooth for me. I don't know. Like, I noticed while I was watching it, I was like, a lot of their movements kind of feel a little weightless. And I feel like that's more of a creative choice than a budgetary restriction. But I remember just being like, this feels wrong. And I think that's another of the things where it's clearly oriented towards children, because a child would be like, oh, that's, you know, wacky and silly, so that makes sense and it's fine.
Yeah. It's just really disappointing, because by the time you get to that third act, I really feel like it kind of fumbles because it doesn't really, you don't care, but it's really not interesting from like a big action set piece point. Like, for me, it feels really weird to have whichever one of the minions it was, Stuart, I think.
I think it was Kevin
go back to the mansion and do like his whole load up sequence.
And then he doesn't use any of it.
He doesn't use anything and just turns big and just like, what, he flicks her, just like does some little motion that like ends everything. And Scarlet Overkill doesn't really feel like much of a villain outside of what she wants.
She uses all of the other villains to, like, you know, do her dirty work or whatever, which is, it's fine. But for them setting her up as like this big, you know, best supervillain, especially when she like takes on everyone for the diamond or whatever at the beginning, or the ruby or whatever. Like I was kind of expecting a little more. And then I just on the emotional side, like I didn't care when Stuart and Bob got kidnapped because they don't have a relationship with each other. Like
Well, none of them really do.
I was kind of hoping to see more of the minions like in a relationship with each other outside of just being a part of the same species, and I kind of didn't get that. And they set up certain things that kind of don't come back around very well. Like, I think it's Bob being like the ukulele player that's just comes back for like a joke at the end of the movie. I was kind of expecting there to be more to that in like his character, and I just didn't get any of that.
Well, that kind of feels like this whole movie where I think they do a good job setting up who the minions are, where they're
Yes.
from, and what their intentions are. But then the second you get to the Scarlet Overkill stuff, it
The
just
second
like
the plot starts.
yeah, it really doesn't interest me. And I think that's just due to like really lackluster character work in terms of Scarlet Overkill and her. I didn't even realize it was her husband until after the movie. I'll be honest, because he feels like such an inconsequential
Herb.
character, Herb. He's just kind of there to make these really bad one-stick lines that never landed for me. And like I said, I didn't notice it was John Hamm, so I'm really just kind of going back and forth. Like, I got a few laughs out of, I guess we can bring this up now, like, I didn't realize their language that they spoke was Minionese.
Oh.
But like also the fact that they make them yellow, just it all feels kind of weird when you
Yeah.
start putting all the parts together, right? Like
it's
that.
It's weird too because like sometimes they'll say English words and then other times they'll say like Spanish phrases. Like, you know,
Yeah.
one of them says
See?
"sí,"
Like,
and then like
the what?
and then like 10 minutes later someone said "qué pasó," and at the end fucking Bob says gracias, and I'm just like, okay, why are you saying random Spanish shit? And it's even funnier because we never see them in like Spain or anything, like a Spanish speaking country in the beginning, to explain why they use Spanish language in their Minionese.
Yeah, it all feels like kind of like half-ass thought through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like that's my
this is stuff,
issue.
and this is stuff that I did not feel about the first one because one, they weren't the focus, and so I wasn't thinking about it too much. And obviously, in the Despicable Me movies, they're meant to just be like they're meant to be the comic relief, and so it's fine when they're doing stuff just to be funny. But in like when they're the stars of the movie, I kind of want a little bit more in terms of like characterization. But I get it. Again, it's a children's movie. It's a children's movie.
I think that's in part why I think I'm a little bit more sour on this. Like, my score, I don't think will reflect how negative I'm talking about it, just because I acknowledge what type of film it is and it's trying to be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's really hard to when I feel like they accomplished everything they wanted, I think, to do in this with the first film in Despicable Me. And it's just really hard not to go back and look at that, because I think by the time this came out, they'd only made Despicable Me 1 and 2. And then I think they made a third one, right?
Yeah, I think
And I
it'll come after the.
It came in between Minions 1 and 2, Rise of Gru, which I'm like, I feel like the Rise of Gru movie is exactly what this first one should have been, because it's clear they didn't know what to do after the first 15 movies. 15 minutes, not movies. Jeez. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm
Sorry,
like,
I got distracted.
you're
I was
good.
looking up when all these came out. I didn't realize there was a fourth Despicable Me. I thought
I
there were
didn't
only
realize
three.
there was one either. I thought there was only 1, 2, and 3.
I only
Like,
yeah. I mean, I only saw the first two, so but that's interesting. Yeah.
And like, this really doesn't make me want to go and watch the others. Maybe outside
Well,
of the
see, that's
second
the
one,
reason
because
why
it's
I didn't watch
Gru.
any of them. This movie came out, and I remember seeing it in theaters and being like, that was okay, you know, it was whatever. And I never found the the courage to watch any of the other ones. Like even the mainline Despicable Me movies. Like I thought Despicable Me 2 was a nice kind of end to it, and then they just kept making more, and I was like, I watched the trailer for Despicable Me 3, and I kind of didn't really care about what was going on. Like, it didn't seem interesting to me. So I was just like, okay, I think we're done with these movies.
And it shocks me because of how much money these movies make.
I'm curious how much money
Rise of Gru made $940 million.
Despicable Me also made over $1 billion.
That's what I'm saying. Like these are huge films. Despicable Me 2 made 970.
Despicable Me 4 made a little under
Three,
$1 billion.
dude, 3 made $1 billion. Like there's an audience for this, and this is like one of those strange, like I don't get it type of things. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying being a big box office smash for the budgets, but like consistently reaching $1 billion, 20 million under $1 billion is really shocking to me.
Especially for how little money it actually costs. Like, we've been talking about big, Hollywood movies that cost fucking a fortune to make, and then they struggle to, break even, let alone make a profit. And then I feel like this kind of makes me judge the movies a little less. Like, knowing how little it costs to make and how much money they keep making off of them. Like, although that being said, though, because I think I saw in this one, Bloomberg News estimated that Universal Pictures spent $593 million promoting Minions, the first one, including $26.1 million on television advertisements. It described the promotion as the quote-unquote largest and most comprehensive in the distributor's history. So they do spend a lot of money on marketing for these, I feel. So,
Bro, that's crazy. I just looked up Despicable Me 4, and they had Mike White be a co-writer on it.
I don't know who that is.
He wrote the screenplay for like one of the Pitch Perfect films. He's the guy who created The White Lotus.
Oh, interesting.
So like a good writer. As like I just don't know where they decide to put the good writers on and where they don't, because these Minion movies need better writing, and I think that's my biggest thing.
Because I'm looking at the Rotten Tomatoes. Pretty much after the Despicable Me 2, all of the critical reception kind of like takes a nosedive to like the mid 50s.
I'm like, didn't this one get like a 50-55 on Rotten
Yeah,
Tomatoes?
and like that's the same with like the Despicable Me 3 and Despicable Me 4. I don't know what the Rise of Gru got in comparison. It was higher. It got 70%. That's fucking hilarious.
Honestly, 70% is a win, but still,
Yeah.
it's like
It's closer to like the other two. That's funny. Maybe I should watch that one. I don't know. Anyways, yeah.
I just don't know where to like go from here in this conversation, because there's not really a story in this movie.
Yeah,
and
no,
that's,
there isn't.
Like
No.
really,
and
what
that's the
bothers
thing.
me.
The movie that I wanted was just either the vignettes of them doing shit throughout history. I think that could be really funny. Or the stuff that like the end credits were doing, where like we actually see how how Gru meets them. And honestly, I think it would be much more interesting seeing them trying and failing to convince him to let them be his minions.
Yeah.
And it could still be wacky and fun, and we wouldn't have that like moral conundrum about like them being evil and shit like that. And then yeah, by the end it's about them like again kind of coming together as a family, like they're his first family and shit like that. I don't know. That's what I wanted. I get, that obviously this was intended for a specific audience. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like people who grew up watching the first two Despicable Me's are gonna walk into this movie kind of feeling empty by the end of it.
And I feel like that's where I kind of lean, because I did find some stuff funny. The comedy humor did get me in certain spots, at least when like they're doing that like minionese giggle with each other and they're like kind of bickering back and forth. Like that's where I think the minions really work well, instead of like all these really stupid, oh, Stuart picks up this sword and he is like almost from cutting Bob off, but the sword misses him like an inch or something behind him. Like that's the type of stuff where I'm just like, all right, that's not really too funny.
Yeah.
And especially once he gets big at the end, it's like, all right, a big minion and then they do like a fat joke. because they don't want to destroy any of the buildings, which I don't know if that's true. I feel like if he tried fitting himself in between those buildings, they would have been destroyed instantly.
I
But
mean, you can
that's just
see them
neither
taking
here
some
nor there.
damage, but
It's
I
really
don't know.
nothing. They just do it
Yeah.
to make like a fat joke, and I think that's where I'm just like, all right, fat jokes. I don't care about these like
Yeah.
semi-racist jokes about them speaking Minionese. Like, okay, like I think it would have helped if they called it anything other than Minionese because they're yellow. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
And like knowing that, it kind of hinders my entire experience on how I view the comedy from their perspective because it feels like one too many similarities for me not to think like this wasn't something that they just accidentally did and didn't think too much about. But it's not like a Hollywood big budget, like $80 million, massive budget, even though we sat here and said it's small.
It's small in comparison. Like I mean,
That's what I'm saying, it's small in
let's
comparison.
look at like some like how much did fucking Toy Story 5 just cost?
I don't
Let's look
think
at the
it co-
budget
I
for that movie.
watch it be like 100 million, bro.
That movie cost 250. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm fucking talking about. These movies cost 250 fucking million dollars.
I'm afraid to look at what the Spider-Verse films cost.
They had to have cost way less. Into the Spider-Verse. The budget
Dude,
on this was
90 million
9. Yeah, see that makes
That's
sense.
pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
cross.
Across
Now
the
I'm gonna
Spider-Verse
look-
probably costs a little more.
150.
125 million dollars.
I have 150 on here.
Wikipedia is telling me 125.
I'm on Box Office Mojo, and they're telling me 150.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, but
I mean,
just say
that's-
in between there.
It's
That's
it's
still,
not 250 million dollars.
But dude, you're increasing your budget a third to half more than what it was just to get another 300 million. So like I think it's interesting when you're looking at the box office between what I think are seen as these critically acclaimed films on two different spectrums. One that's closer to what these Minion films are, and then the exact opposite. Because like now I'm curious. I know it's a much different time, but Toy Story, what did that cost?
The original Toy Story,
Yeah,
probably 3 raspberries.
30. Oh wait, no, they don't even have the numbers on Box Office Mojo. So hopefully Wikipedia can tell you
Here, I'm pulling it up on Wikipedia.
because it
now.
made 400 million.
$30 million. That's crazy.
Yeah,
$30 million for a groundbreaking animated feature film.
in the 90s.
Yeah, 1995. How much did the sequel cost? Wikipedia says 90 million, so it went up
Yeah, I
$60
got 90
million
million here. And it made roughly 90 million more.
Okay, so
So they-
Toy Story 3 is around the time that like the Despicable Me movie started coming out. I think
How
it's a
much?
year off. So okay, $200 million.
Jesus Christ!
How much? I'm so curious. How much did Despicable Me cost?
It was like.
Oh no,
90
it did come
million.
out 2010. They both came out the same year.
Yeah, they
That's
came out the
crazy.
same year.
$69 million. Not even $70 million. That's crazy.
That's disgusting, bro.
It made
That's disgusting.
$544.2 million. How much did Toy Story 3 make? It made $1 billion. That's funny. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't really know where to go from here, just because it's just a lot of gags for a ride that they wanted to make.
I think we go into the outro.
All right. You go first.
Oh, I forgot to rate this. Shit.
Okay, I'll start. I
Oh,
gave
yeah, you can
it
go.
a two out of 5, just because I acknowledge the audience it's made for, and I think some of the gags worked on me here and there. But I'll never like watch this movie again unless I have a child. Like, I'll be honest, you know.
I'm kind of torn in between like 2.5 and a 2.
You know what you need to do. Bro.
I
You
would
need to make us agree.
I would. So 2 for me is like a bad movie. That's kind of like the cutoff for a bad movie.
Really,
two
not
and a
like
half-
a 1.5, bro.
1.5. One is like horrible. Like that's a movie. 1 to 1.5 are movies that I would never watch again. I don't think this movie is like that bad. Like you said, like if it was on in the background, or I was with like one of my nieces and nephews or whatever are watching it, like that'd be fine. But it's watchable to me is probably a little too much because I don't personally want to watch it again. So I guess we'll go with the 2. Just yeah, we agreed on something.
Just so we can agree on for something.
Yeah. Of course, it's the Minions movie that we agree on.
I mean, I'm not too shocked. I'll be honest.
I guarantee you guys the next few movies we're going to be talking about, we're not going to agree on anything.
No, I think we'll agree on at least the next few, maybe.
No, one of them I know, because just off the bat, I know we're not going to agree because you're such a hater.
There's a good chance.
But anyways, speaking of which, next week we're going to be talking about another great movie. When did this movie come out? Hold on.
I think like 2011, bro. 2012.
2013. Okay.
Okay.
2 years prior to
close.
Minions. We're going to talk about Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, starring the dude who created the Jeremy Renner app.
Yes, bro.
And Gemma Arterton.
I loved her back in the day.
I've seen her in a handful of things. I know she was in one of the Bond movies.
She was in that.
I saw her in Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
I think that was the first movie I saw her in. And anyways, so yeah, we're gonna be talking about that. And you might be wondering why we're gonna talk about that. And I can't tell you the 100% exact reason because I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it's because Moana is coming out, and we didn't want to talk about like an actual Disney remake, so we decided to just talk about like a random fairy tale remake that we kind of had fun with. This is a guilty pleasure of mine.
Dude, I haven't seen this like since like 2018 or something. It's been a few years.
Oh, that's crazy. I saw it like how long
I remember
was
it
that?
being really fun, and
I saw it in like
different.
2021, I think, like just before I started college. So,
hey, I'm excited to talk about it. I think it'd be a fun movie to talk about.
who directed this movie?
I think it's like someone we know too.
Oh, sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. I clicked on the Osgood Perkins one.
Not a good one.
Okay, it doesn't even say who it was.
Tommy Wirkola.
I've looked at this dude's filmmaking or filmography before.
He did the Dead Snow movies. That's all I need to know.
Oh, he did Violet Night? Okay, I haven't seen that movie, but I heard good things about it.
He did Violent Night?
Yeah.
He didn't write it? Oh, I'm looking at... Wait, what?
He directed it.
Oh, I'm fried here. Why did the thing not come up?
He directed that new Thrash movie. That's
I heard
on
it was
Netflix.
not good.
Spermageddon. A
Nice.
Norwegian adult animated musical sex comedy film. That is a mouthful.
Dude, this looks awful. What the fuck? Who are having sex for the first time, and the others an eventful quest of Simon, the seaman, and his friends.
Simon the Seaman? Is that?
Yeah, that's literally the name. And his friends to reach the golden goal, the egg.
We should have watched. We should have watched this movie.
we might have to do that. I don't know, bro.
That's fucking hilarious.
Jesus Christ! Like, what the fuck? Okay. I don't want to keep looking at this.
Yeah. No.
If you guys enjoyed the episode, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And let us know down below what you guys think of the Minions movie from 2015. And as Leo dies on the other side, we will see you on the next episode, bro. Peace.